Hey everybody, welcome to the Simhanger. My name is Mark. Not long ago, I released this video where we looked at 3 companies developing components for the instrument control panel on the Airbus series of aircraft, and in particular the A320. We had Mini Cockpit initially, launching the Mini FCU. 80% actual size and ideal for those where space is a major consideration. Not long afterwards, we had Wing, and they've released their full-size FCU at a price point that, quite frankly, is stunning and highly competitive. The third company that I covered in that video was a name we're not that familiar with, Wingflex, and they've taken a very different approach to the whole FCU and instrument panel in itself, and they've released it as one complete item. And it's that we're going to be looking at in this video today. So with that said, let's get started. Wingflex, based in China, up to this point has been a company that has focused on professional full cockpit simulators for both civilian and military aircraft, and have only recently decided to enter the home simulation market with their first product, the A320 Combo. This is a 1-to-1 scale exact replica of what you'll find in the A320, featuring the FCU and both the pilot and co-pilot's EFIS. And right from the get-go, I think I need to say this is not for the casual simmer. It is comparatively expensive and something I imagine that real-world pilots would use for training. So it's aimed at those pretty dedicated to flying their Airbus series of aircraft, looking for a complete solution, and of course cockpit builders. When you get your hands on a unit and take a look at it, it's very clear that authenticity has been the main focus. That realism extends to both the fonts and colors used for the LCD displays, spring-loaded autopilot and auto thrust buttons, and so on. It's solidly built and fairly weighty in hand, but not exceptionally so. One area where Wingflex really excel is in their software. It is the true meaning of plug and play. There's no install, start your sim, then start the bridge software, and you're done. No configuration required. Here I haven't started my sim yet, but I've started the bridge software. The A320 combo unit comes alive, and here you can just check that all the LCDs etc. are working. The software will automatically detect whatever simulator that you're using, be it Prepared, Xplane, Microsoft Flight Simulator, and so on, and will automatically configure itself for the particular aircraft that you have loaded. The software is still under development and being expanded, but the current range of aircraft supported is shown above and includes the fly-by-wire A320 NX and the Fenix A320, as well as the headwind option for Microsoft Flight Simulator. Xplane includes the Flight Factor and the TOLUS offering. Wingflex have stated they're continuing to expand the number of aircraft covered. Personally, I've only tested it in Microsoft Flight Simulator, and it works faultlessly with the fly-by-wire A320 and the Anybuild's Airbus A310. Interestingly, the default Airbus A320 version 2 from Anybuilds was not compatible at this time. I can only assume this will be corrected in a future release of the software, but for all my tests today I picked the Fenix A320, and I did so deliberately as the Fenix A320 can be temperamental in terms of compatibility with various hardware. I'm pleased to say, however, the Fenix A320 worked absolutely perfectly, and we'll jump into Sim shortly and give it a full test. Before we do so, however, I'd just like to say that the feel of the push-button rotary dials, buttons and switches were all of a quality that you would expect. My only comment would be on the dials where you rotate them. You do get the haptic click feedback, but it's not as pronounced as it is, say, on the Wing product, for example. Which one is truer to life? Well, I'm not really qualified to say. One thing perhaps I should have mentioned earlier is there's no power cable required. It's simply USB-C to USB-A cable. And now, before we jump into Sim, let's address the elephant in the room, the price. The Wingflex A320 combo will cost you US $899. And Wingflex tell me that that price includes shipping, but obviously will exclude any local or regional duties or sales taxes that may apply. If you do decide to buy it, and at checkout, if you use the promo code Simhanger, exactly as shown, all in capitals, this will reduce the price by $100 to $799. Please note that this code may be time limited at the discretion of Wingflex, and that it is a promo code and not an affiliate link. I'm not connected to Wingflex directly or indirectly, and the unit I'm showing in this video is a loan unit, which I'm under obligation to return. Due to its price point, of course, this is not for everyone. As mentioned earlier, it's a top-end product with a premium price and facing stiff opposition from the likes of Winwing. But there are a group of simmers that this will appeal to, looking for ease of use combined with authenticity and realism. Nonetheless, there's no getting away from the fact that this is an expensive item. We're now in Sim. Let's start the bridge software, and our unit springs into life. And we can see here it's automatically picked up the fact that we're in Microsoft Flight Simulator and the Fenix A320. Job done. When it comes to the unit's functionality, it does everything that you would expect it to. There is next to zero latency, and whilst using the unit I saw no negative impact on FPS and performance overall. I did a short hop from Seattle Tacoma to Portland, and during that flight I tested just about everything, and I'm pleased to say no faults were encountered. Everything seemed to work perfectly. Whilst the functionality of the FCU is basically a given, I spent a lot of time testing out the EFIS. And once again, I'm pleased to say no faults were encountered. It was such a pleasure to actually use a physical device as opposed to having to manipulate your mouse around those small buttons and dials while you're flying. And what was particularly nice are the VOR ADF switches. These function just like in a real Airbus. You have to pull them out to switch them over to prevent the switch being knocked by accident. And once again, these are spring-loaded. In my recording of the physical unit, you'll notice a color difference in terms of the LCD displays. This was more of a variance in terms of light, etc. whilst filming it, rather than any discrepancy regarding the LED color itself. Anyway, that's enough of the basics. Let's get up in the air and head to Portland. Flight plan has been entered, aircraft set up, we're good to go. I'm not going to show the complete flight obviously, just a few extracts just to demonstrate the usability and functionality of the A320 combo unit. But when it's all said and done, if you can do it in Sim, well, you can do it in the main instrument panel as well. The push and pull functionality or managed or manual modes is fully supported by the Wingflex unit. Here for example, I'm coming out of nav mode and going into manual heading mode, and the autopilot responds accordingly. Press the heading dial in and I return to nav or managed mode, and the aircraft makes the appropriate correction to get itself back on track. Here's a really neat feature. These two dials here control the brightness of the LEDs, and this again is supported by the unit. This one on the left supports the backlighting, which can be turned up or down. In Sim, you do this simply by rotating the mouse wheel, and the unit responds accordingly. The other dial or rotary wheel controls the brightness of the LED itself, and again you can turn that up or down as required to suit your personal preference. We're now turning on final for runway 28 left at Portland. Approach is now engaged, and we can now complete our preparations for landing. Just a few nautical miles to run. Fasten your seatbelts please, sick bags at the ready, and we now have the runway in sight. And let's now turn to my final thoughts and opinions. We have a new competitor in the Airbus instrument panel market. Wingflex is a new developer for the home simulation market. They've taken a different approach by providing a single unit that includes both Pilot and Copilot's EFIS, with a focus on simplicity, both in terms of connection, one single USB, and also its software, which is truly plug and play. That in itself is refreshing. The product is of good quality and performs admirably. In fact, I'd go so far as to say faultlessly. Having said that, however, there is one fairly large hurdle, and that's the price point. Even after promo discounts, the price of $800 US is a tall order, particularly in light of recent competition. Regardless of that, however, it will still hold appeal to those that are regular Airbus pilots seeking authenticity and realism combined with simple setup. Wingflex is a welcome addition to the flight simulation market. Want to know more? Link in the notes below. As always, thank you very much for joining me. I hope you found it useful and informative. Stay well, look after yourself, see you again soon, and ciao for now.